Two people walk into the same bank on the same morning. Same suit, near enough. Same polite hello. One of them leaves feeling like a valued guest. The other leaves feeling like a problem that was processed. Nothing about them is different. Not their character, not their intelligence, not their manners. Only one thing is different: a number. And that number quietly decides how the entire world treats you, from the coffee you're refused to the laws that get rewritten in your favor. Today we're going to climb that ladder, one level at a time, from a negative balance all the way to $1 billion, and show you exactly what changes about the way the world sees you at each step. Some of these levels you've lived, some of them almost nobody ever will. If this is the kind of thing you find fascinating, gently tap that like button. It genuinely helps. And let's begin. Level 1. A negative balance. The number on your screen has a minus sign in front of it. You overdrafted by $4, a subscription you forgot was scheduled. The bank doesn't care that it was $4. The bank cares about the math, and the math says you went under. The fee is $35. The penalty for being broke is that you become more broke, and the fee is always bigger than the mistake. You call. The hold music loops. A voice reads from a script and tells you the fee can't be reversed at this time. Nobody calls back. By Friday, you walk into the branch and the teller looks at her screen, and her face changes in a way you've seen before. Not anger, something colder. You watch yourself stop being a person on her screen and start being a category, a risk score with shoes. You came in to ask for help. You leave having said nothing, because somewhere between the $4 and the unreturned call, you stopped feeling like a customer and started feeling like a flag on a file. Level 2, $1,000. You clawed the account back to positive. 20 hours of overtime. Nobody clapped. And the world's treatment of you barely moves. The maintenance fee still hits, $12, quietly withdrawn, because the minimum to avoid it is $1,500 you don't have. You are paying the bank to hold the little money you have. This is the level where the world's indifference is at its purest. You apply for a credit card and they offer you a secured one. You hand them $300 of your own so they can lend it back to you and charge you 24% for the privilege. At the airport, you are Group 9. You board last, you watch the overhead bins fill, and you carry your bag back down the aisle to be checked at the door. At the hospital, you wait in the same room for 6 hours because your insurance is the kind that argues. Nobody is cruel to you at level 2. It's worse than cruel. You're simply not seen. And indifference, at scale, looks exactly like cruelty. Level 3. $25,000. Something shifts. Not in your account, in the way you're looked at. Your direct deposit lands every 2 weeks, and that predictable pattern is the only thing about you the system finds interesting. The maintenance fee disappears on its own. The pre-approved cards start arriving with your name in metallic ink, the same institution that wouldn't approve you a year ago. You didn't change, the number did. The teller says good morning before you reach the counter. Not the warmth she gives the wealthy, not the silence she gave you at level 1, something in between. Recognition without warmth. This is where most people live their whole lives. And here's the quiet truth of it. The bank still doesn't care who you are. At $25,000, your account simply looks like something they can sell things to. You're not invisible anymore. You're not respected either. You're profitable. Level 4, $100,000. Now the world leans in. You get a call, not automated, a person, and the bank has assigned you a relationship manager who gives you a direct line and asks about your goals. The interest rate on your next loan quietly drops, not because you negotiated, but because you stopped being a risk. A fee shows up. You email one sentence. 3 hours later, it's reversed with a reply that just says, taken care of. The fees that drained you for years are now optional. You fly, and you turn left instead of right. The seat reclines flat. Someone learns your name. At this level, the world stops punishing you for being poor and starts rewarding you for being safe. And you realize something that was hidden from you at every level below. The world was never cruel to you when you were broke. It was indifferent. It only warms up when your number tells it to. Level 5, $1 million. A word appears on your statements. Preferred. You didn't earn the title, the number did. Your banker becomes a real person who remembers you have a sister in Chicago because the bank trains him to remember small things, because small things keep accounts. You walk in, and someone with a nameplate stands up and guides you past the rope line you used to wait in. The line you didn't even know existed because you were always standing inside it. A pre-approval arrives for a mortgage you never asked for. The bank has decided what you can afford before you decided to buy. A competitor bank calls to poach you, and when you mention it, your banker calls back within the hour with a better offer. For the first time, an institution is competing to keep you. At $1 million, the world doesn't just serve you, it starts trying not to lose you. Level 6, $10 million. The bank stops being a place you visit and becomes a service that comes to you. The wealth manager drives to your office with printed reports in a leather folder and, at the end of 90 minutes, doesn't try to sell you anything. He just leaves a card. The selling already happened. You just didn't feel it. You're not being offered products anymore. You're being consulted. When your wire transfer freezes, someone answers on the second ring and fixes it in the same call. The call that would have taken you 3 hours and 4 transfers at level 2. You're invited to a private dinner, 8 guests, a view of the city you've never seen from this angle, and money is never once mentioned. Because at this level, money is the table, not the conversation. The doctor now gives you his personal cell. The lawyer picks up on a Sunday. $10 million doesn't buy you better service. It buys you a world that rearranges itself to be convenient. Level 7, $100 million. Here, the ladder leaves the world you know. This is where our channel usually starts, because this is where money stops buying comfort and starts buying control. You don't have a bank, you have a family office, your own private staff whose entire job is your money. The interest rate on your loan isn't published anywhere. It's negotiated in a phone call. The investment minimum that keeps ordinary people out is simply waived, because the relationship justifies it, and the rules themselves start to soften. A tax bill that would flatten a normal person becomes, for you, a structure. A trust here, a holding company there, a residence chosen not for where you want to live, but for what it does to your balance sheet. The law didn't change. It just bends differently, around $100 million. You've stopped being someone the system processes. You've become someone the system accommodates. Level 8, $1 billion. At the top, the relationship reverses completely. You don't apply for things. Things apply for you. Investments are brought to you before the public ever sees them. The chief investment officer of the bank asks for your opinion on emerging markets. You are now shaping the institution that once charged you $35 for being $4 short. And the world's largest players, not banks now, but cities and countries, begin to compete for you. They rewrite their tax codes to attract you. They build the visa that lets you belong without belonging. A billionaire doesn't move to where the rules are friendly. The places with the friendly rules come to him and quietly reshape themselves around his arrival. At $1 billion, you are no longer a customer, or a client, or even a partner. You're a jurisdiction's business plan. So here's the thing nobody says out loud. You are the same person at every one of these levels. The same intelligence, the same character, the same right to be treated like a human being. Nothing about you changes as you climb. The only thing that changes is the number next to your name. And the world reads that number and decides, instantly and silently, who you get to be. The system isn't broken when it charges a broke person $35 and flies out to ask a billionaire his opinion. That is the system working exactly as it was built. And somewhere, right now, someone is staring at a minus sign in front of a $4 mistake, being treated like a problem by the same kind of institution that will one day, if their number ever climbs high enough, send a car to their door. So I want to know where you're watching this from. Be honest, which level are you on right now, and which level do you actually think you'll reach? Drop the number in the comments. I read them, and I'll reply. If this made you see that morning at the bank a little differently, hit that like button and subscribe to Crest Royale. This whole channel is about how the people at the very top actually move their money. Because here's where it gets strange. At the billionaire level, I told you the low-tax places come and compete for you. That's not a metaphor. It's happening right now. Entire cities are quietly fighting to pull the world's fortunes in. I broke down exactly how in the video on why one man moved $69 billion to Miami, and everyone followed. That's the one to watch next. You can click it right here.